Oh, yes, I did come out to... Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Jeff doesn't stoop to Star Wars. I mean, I love Star Wars.
Well, he doesn't... That's because he doesn't know what it is. He definitely doesn't know who Ronaldinho is either.
A minute into the show, and I've already lost it. It's derailed. And I knew it was going to be like this. I knew it was going to be like this on a Friday. Larry Holder's not with us, but we're very happy to be joined by our very own Josh Katz. Sitting in, fresh from Saints camp. His first time in the studio here at iHeartRadio, downtown New Orleans, the greatest city on the planet. And, of course, Cladico, Clad Verdan, as always, ably manning his seat, and Dave DeCorbier behind the glass, spinning the wax. And it's a great Friday. I'm fired up. I'm in a great mood today. Got up early, got my workout in, ready for the weekend, a big, long weekend for all of us. Memorial Day weekend. We're going to be dodging some weather, it looks like. But other than that, who cares? It's a great weekend in New Orleans. It's always good to be in New Orleans. And we're going to talk Saints most of the day today, but we have a lot of other things to attend to before we get into our heavy Saints talk with Josh, because Josh was out at the OTAs. I'm calling it practice, Josh, by the way. I'm on a anti-OTA rant.
You can call it workouts.
It's a weird term. It's a weird abbreviation.
Who thought it up?
You have to say, like, it is... If the 10 are organized team activities, is one an organized team activity? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's stupid. It's practice. Practice. Why don't they just call it practice?
They should just call the OTAs optional practice and call the mini camp mandatory practice.
Yeah, it's a workout. It's a workout to organize OTA. 3 words for one thing. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about it. But we are going to talk at length about what you saw, your impressions, and we're going to hear from Sean Payton, his 20-minute press briefing yesterday as he kidded the local press corps that it felt like the NFC Championship game, how long he was getting grilled. But he was in a good mood yesterday, which I think is a sign that he likes his team. And what's not to like? Everybody likes their team in May when you're 0-0 and you're fresh off your draft and free agency. Everybody hopes springs eternal. But we'll hear from Sean Payton, and we will also talk to our very own Brody Miller at 10:30 here in about a half hour or so. Brody, our LSU beat writer, was over in Hoover, Alabama for that crazy win that LSU had yesterday in the SEC tournament. If you didn't see it, kind of craziness. They won 6-4 in extra innings against South Carolina, and Todd Peterson was the star of the day. And we'll talk to Brody about that because that was a very unusual situation.
It was, because he not only was able to dupe Paul Maneri, he came out after the postgame and flat out said that he lied to Coach after the game was over. He didn't, quote unquote, hit bombs in high school.
Nukes.
He never even got a chance to swing. It was all BP. So at the same time, though, that story will go down the lore for sure.
Yeah, that was a fun press conference with Todd Peterson. So we'll talk to Brody about LSU, who plays later today. We don't know who they play yet. Arkansas and Florida are playing as we speak over in Hoover. And the winner of that game plays LSU. Is that right, or does the loser play LSU?
No, the loser is going to play LSU.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because the team that ends up winning, which if Florida wins again, then they're going to move all the way on to Saturday.
Right.
So they're probably going to play Arkansas. But I mean, Arkansas's had a tough weekend, man. They played in the late games, and when you're playing in the late games, we're talking about you're playing in the late games. So they've had a lot of work to do so far. But right now, still. It's top of the first, so it's 0-0 right now. Arkansas and Florida over at Hoover.
And other college baseball action, the UNO Privateers with a win 3-1 over Houston Baptist in the Southland Conference tournament. They're carrying the banner for New Orleans. They're now on to the semifinals as the number 8 seed. These things happen in college baseball. You get these runs that people go on. So UNO and Blake Dean's team making a bold, kind of improbable run there in the Southland tournament. Tulane, of course, eliminated in emphatic fashion yesterday. What was it, 18-7?
18-7.
Football score. Sound like a football score. And as we understand it, Travis Jewett is meeting with Tulane AD Troy Dannon as we speak. What's going to come out of that meeting, I don't know. I'm sure it's the typical post-mortem on the season, but I expect there to be some changes of some kind with Tulane baseball. And last but not least, Clyde. We've written off the Houston Rockets. You and I both.
Too quickly.
And Houston now up 3-2 in the series in the Western Conference Finals with a 98-94 victory against Golden State. That was a dramatic game. Went down to the wire, and Golden State once again couldn't get out of their own way down the stretch, and Houston wins. The series goes back to Oakland.
Yeah, no, we're clearly going to see what this Houston team and this Golden State team is made out of. Specifically, after last night's game, it's going to be interesting to see how Golden State comes back out in Oracle Arena to try to figure out how to mitigate some of the things that Houston's done defensively. I saw a stat last night saying that Golden State, over the course of the regular season, ran the fewest amount of ISO plays as a team in the NBA. But that number, like 9. But now that's jumped up to almost like 15, I believe, in the playoffs, or specifically against the series against the Rockets. And for them, that's not how they play. They carve you up on the inside, and then you don't know what to do, and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off because they're so surgical with how they pass the ball. But that has not been the case the last 2 games. And Houston now has a chance, but obviously there's always going to be a caveat. And Chris Paul with that hamstring injury obviously is going to be a very, very big factor in whether or not he plays, obviously, on Saturday night in Oracle Arena, and or whether or not he plays the rest of the series. Because, I mean, obviously Chris Paul's, he's getting up there in age. His body is not what it used to be. You know, you'd be able, if you're young, you know, you'd be able to bounce back from those things somewhat moderately quickly. But he looked like he was in some extreme discomfort last night after the play was over. And for me, I think he's been the best. I think he's been the best player in the series for the Rockets. I know James Harden's going to get the MVP award, even though I think obviously that's a little dubious. If you're asking me, I think if people got to vote after the season was over, I think it'd probably go to LeBron James and maybe Anthony Davis for sure, because I don't think James Harden has done enough to solidify what he's been able to do in this playoff series, in my opinion. But Chris Paul has led this team, and with him out, it's going to be interesting to see how they step up, because now it looks like a guy like P.J. Tucker or an Eric Gordon will have to step up in that place and try to recreate what Chris Paul's been able to do in this series against the Warriors.
That's not going to happen.
Chris Paul's definitely going to play in
If
this
Chris
game.
Paul is out, they're done.
Right.
They have no shot.
Well, apparently he got treatment until about midnight last night. He'll get treatment all day. He'll get treatment today. Reports are that they're going to, again, try to give him as much treatment as possible, and then obviously he's going to be a game time decision. I agree. I think he will play,
He'll
but
suck it up.
there's something about that look. You know, I can't remember. I think it was Mark Spears last night who said he's seen that look from Chris Paul before, and it's never really oh yeah, I'm going to be able to shake this off real easily. But again, this is what I was going to ask you guys today for sure on the show. It's almost the idea of knowing you have to play through it now because you have to get to the finals, as opposed to saying, if I sit out these 2, there's no guarantee you get to the finals because you have no say in it whatsoever.
Well, they're motivated because of their history. And if Chris Paul any way can limp around or wobble around on that court, he's going to do it because he's never been this far. I mean, it's part of his legacy is never playing in a final. So that's why he went to Houston, to try and get there.
Right, and I could definitely see a situation where if it's really bad that he takes off Game 6 and then, you know, saves it all up for Game 7, but I would frankly just be shocked if Chris Paul's not out there on Saturday.
Yeah, I know it did look serious. You're right, Clyde. It definitely did look bad, but I think he'll hobble around and do what he can. Now, will he be effective enough to
make an impact?
To make an impact, I don't know. Can he defend anybody with a bad hammy? That's always difficult. But look, going back and winning at Oracle is difficult. I think what's interesting to me in this series is that Houston, known for this running, gun, pace and space, high octane offense, setting all these records. But when the games have been down in the low scoring 90s, they've won both of them.
Yeah, it's surprising because they played nothing but, we talk about ISO with the Warriors because that's not their game, but, I mean, that's what Houston's been doing. I mean, there were so many times last night where it was James Harden dribbling deep into the clock, late into the clock, for eventually having to drive and hopefully kick and find somebody open or find somebody because if, they shift off and try to double him once he drives in the lane, he can dish off and find someone for maybe the easy layup. But there was so much of that last night, it almost felt like it was one of those type of typical, grinded out, plotting games against two of the most high-octane offenses in the NBA, but it's worked out to Houston's favor because Golden State doesn't know what to do because they get so frustrated having to play defense for most of the night that they're not even thinking about offense because they've got to guard these guys late into the shot clock.
I still think Golden State is going to win. I think they're going to win the series.
I do too, but isn't that? I think a lot of it depends on Andre Iguodala. I mean, you can see how much they missed him last night.
Which is crazy.
You don't want Quinn Cook on the court in crunch time.
Quinn Cook, Nick Young,
as we learned
Kevon
last night.
Looney.
Quinn Cook was with the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the Pelicans roster at the end of the bench. Now he's out taking crucial shots at the end of the Western Conference semifinal, playoff final series.
But with the Rockets, I think, isn't that why you get Chris Paul? Because it gives you the liberty to play any sort of style. I mean, you already have James Harden, this run gun. Obviously he can run at any pace that you need him to and run that Mike D'Antoni system. But when, you need to slow it down, Chris Paul, I mean, there's nobody better at doing that in the NBA right now than Chris Paul. I mean, obviously, there was a time when he could run it like that, but right now, I mean, he, in a half-court offense, I don't know that you'd really want anyone else running the show than Chris Paul.
No, Chris Paul is a great player. I mean, a great player. Covered him here, covered him in the Olympics in Beijing. He is a stud. And if he's not out there, I don't think Houston has a shot. I think Golden State might win anyway, even if he is out there. But that series now has gotten very, very interesting. All right, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little Saints. I want to get your thoughts, Josh, on what you saw at OTAs, whatever you can see when they're running around in that type of environment, but also your impressions from the locker room of what you heard from some of the players and some of the coaches as they talked about their first time on the field and on the court. I'm on the field, I should say, with collectively as a team as opposed to just a bunch of rookies. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some New Orleans Saints right here on Dunc and Holder. You're listening to Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us. What's going on? Are they flirting in there with Dave?
I have no idea. Yeah,
Dave, once again, groupies?
Yeah, what a surprise.
Groupies in there with Dave?
Tell him we're trying to work, Dave.
You see that Alberto is coming?
Alberto!
What'd you say?
Alberto.
What's going on with that? I just saw
Set to make landfall.
Subtropical
that's the name of
storm
it.
Alberto.
Yeah. Oh, Valto, okay. Because we're already in the A. We're in the A.
Yeah.
It's way too early for tropical storm.
Shit. It's never too early, dog.
You're perfect. Spend all weekend
I
cuddling
need
with
y'all
the
to
pup.
get down, please.
Yeah, your dog's cute, man.
He's a champion.
He's a cutie.
I took him to Tracy's last night. I don't know about.
How'd he do?
He did great. Well, he's like honestly an amazing dog. Like we'll walk by other dogs and like other dogs will like go crazy and like he'll be curious, but he doesn't like bark that loud or anything. Like when we were walking home, so he did good except we went to Tracy's to get crawfish because they do crawfish Thursday through Sunday. No crawfish. We're like, it's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
And so we just went to Parasols, and I brought him in, but like the music was like he was really confused.
Yeah.
There was like just some loud like classic rock music,
Right.
so I took him home. But I mean, that was like his longest walk, and he was great. And on the walk back, there was this guy with like two dogs walking towards us, and like I was already on my street, so I wasn't gonna cross. He like dipped out. I like thought he might have gone into the house.
Mm-hmm.
He was like standing in the driveway just holding his dogs, and as soon as we walked by, the dogs were just like barking like crazy. I'm just like, oh, well, come on, Fred, let's go.
Yeah, those yappy dogs like that drive me berserk.
Oh man, he's awesome. And like anything, because did I tell you when we went to dinner? Did I tell you that like he did not want to walk?
Oh yeah.
No, he's loving it now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So,
That's
pretty much
cool.
everything with him that like frustrates me goes away in about a day. It's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Some with a microphone and a camera and weirdness. But hey, women. Right?
Yeah,
Days
no,
running
there's just
around.
some Shania shit going on.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a man I feel like a woman. And then it had something to do with a wireless microphone and an iPad filming something.
I just happened to go through the river.
Yes.
Came to our post from Dunc and Holder yesterday. There's a bunch of comments on it. Have you looked at it?
No.
It's like 63 comments
Oh,
on
seriously?
the national anthem.
Oh, Lord.
Dude,
Just a post for the...
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
we
my
had
aunt-
63 comments on there. We couldn't get anybody to call the show yesterday.
My
Yeah,
anthem
that's
story.
strange.
My anthem story has 197
what?
from yesterday.
I couldn't believe we tried to stir the pot yesterday. Dave's right. I wasn't wild enough. I needed to be.
Yeah, we need to
Take
be
a-
wild.
I needed to take like a hard stand.
198 comments, 9 shares, 198.
That's
comments.
freaking
Not a
stupid.
good ratio.
Wow, dude, that's jet.
Or maybe people would rather. I don't know.
Maybe.
I personally think it's a good policy. I'm the only one that thinks it's good.
I do not.
I like it. Welcome back, Duncan Holder, on a country Friday, TGIF, everyone in New Orleans. Special guest in the studio today with us, Josh Katzenstein, our NOLA.com Times-Picayune Saints beat reporter, Clyde Verdun, and of course Dave DeCorbier. Larry's got the day off. Good for Larry. He needs a few days off to recharge his batteries. He had a busy week in Atlanta at the NFL owners meetings, reporting on the Super Bowl coming to New Orleans 2024. Larry getting a little time off, and we are carrying the flag today for Duncan Holder. And today's going to be heavy Saints talk. We'll get with Brody Miller here about 10:30 to talk about LSU baseball. But otherwise, we want to hear from you. If you want to call in, ask any questions to Josh about his impressions of OTA yesterday with the New Orleans Saints. 504-260-1280 is the number to call. Yes.
First one, they'll get 3 more to be able to, or 2 Thursdays after this, right? To be able to,
I don't know.
Yeah.
We get next Thursday, then the Thursday after that.
Thursdays.
And when's minicamp?
Minicamp is the following week.
Okay.
I'm not sure the access plans for that. I'm pretty sure the rules state all 3 practices have to be open. So.
And the difference between minicamp and OTA is what? Not really.
One is mandatory. Minicamp is mandatory.
That's basically it.
And OTAs are mandatory unless you have a good reason.
And speaking of one player that was not there, one significant player, Mark Ingram, who is facing a 4-game suspension to start the season. What did Sean Payton say about that? It sounded like he's talked to him a number of times about the situation.
Yeah, he said he's talked to him a couple times at length, and he said they spoke before the off-season program began, which is the workout program that started back in April. When they can get guys back in the building working out together. No coaches are allowed to work with the players at that time, but it's a good time for everyone to get back together and catch up and players obviously start talking about what they want to do, but Mark Ingram obviously relayed his plans to Sean Payton that he was not going to, participate in any of the optional off-season work. He told Payton, according to Payton, that he'll be there for the mandatory minicamp. It sounds like Ingram isn't trying to create a distraction, but Sean Payton made it pretty clear yesterday, and as he said, previously when we've spoken with him, that he doesn't agree with what Mark Ingram's doing. He understands it and he respects it, but he would much rather have Ingram here getting ready for the season and getting ready to have another impressive year going into the final year of his contract, because that's the best way for Ingram to get another big deal is by playing well this season and doing anything. Payton pointed out that he's sure Ingram's staying in shape, and obviously he has plenty of experience in the system, so they're not too worried about him missing anything, but still, just being around the team, from their perspective, is the best way to ensure that the team, one of your leaders being there is the best way to ensure that the team is going to have the same success they had last year or even better. And so the fact that he's not there and that he's hoping for a new contract that he's not going to get, this certainly isn't helping his case if he's hoping to stay with the Saints long term.
Yeah, and I think when Mark Ingram comes back, if I'm Mark Ingram, I'm going to be hell on wheels. I'm going to be in the best shape of my career. I'm going to be motivated to put my best effort out there, because this is it for him. This is probably going to be the last big contract he gets, if he gets a big contract at all. This is his opportunity to make an impression, but I don't know. I don't think this strategy is working on Mickey Loomis.
No, it's not at all. No, the Saints have zero plans to give Ingram a new deal before the season, and I can't imagine they would give him one until free agency next year. Unless he has an incredible, run as soon as, he comes back from his 4-game suspension. But even still, they know that they have Alvin Kamara on a cheap deal for the next 3 years. Obviously, they like some of these other young running backs that they have. So, from Ingram's perspective, the only reason, I was talking about this with some other reporters yesterday, and Mike Triplett made a good point. The only reason that would make sense for Ingram to be doing this is that he doesn't want to get hurt doing any of these optional practices, because he's going into his contract year. He wants to stay as healthy as possible for the season, but that's not it. He's trying to get this contract, and now there are far too many similarities between his situation this year and Willie Snead's last year, and we all saw how that worked out for Willie Snead, and let me tell you, it did not work out very well. He did not get the contract that he hoped for. The only difference is that Ingram at least has a little bit of leverage. Snead last year had none because he was an exclusive rights free agent. So, the Saints were going to sign him for a minimum deal no matter what he wanted. Ingram obviously already has a contract, so, he could decide not to play, but, that's not going to help him or the team. But now he is suspended like Snead was, and now we'll see, if he has the same role as before, because Snead, obviously, when he came back, and there was an injury there, too, he did not fill right in, and obviously he did not have a great season. And then that cost him money going into his, contract year as a restricted free agent.
Didn't work out well for Kenny Vaccaro either. When he had his suspension, he never really got back to the level he was before that. But Mark Ingram's got a hell of a lot more skins on the wall than Willie Snead.
Definitely.
He's a multi-time Pro Bowler, but he's also in a position that right now doesn't have a high market value in the NFL, and he's approaching 30. So it's an interesting season for Mark Ingram in a lot of ways. I don't think the Saints, I'm with you, Josh, knowing their history, I think they're going to let him play through this season and then come back to him with some kind of offer, but it wouldn't surprise me if they let him go to the market as well and let the market dictate the terms for their negotiation with him. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Even though he's very popular on this team, one of the more well-liked guys in the locker room, they've already got a young star, a burgeoning star in Alvin Kamara, and they can find another back to play with him. So I think they hold most of the cards here in this negotiation, if there is going to be one right now. But, one thing I would say, I'm impressed with Sean Payton. I always have been very impressed with him in that he communicates with his players. He's always on the same page for the most part with them. And he's obviously keeping his finger on the pulse of this Mark Ingram situation because he doesn't want it to become a distraction. We talked about it, Larry and I have talked about this. This team, for over a year now, has not had many distractions at all. The doctor snafu last training camp, the Willie Snead DUI, if that's your biggest distractions compared to some of these other teams in the league, the Saints have been pretty much distraction-free, and that's been a key for them, I think. It's one of the reasons why I think they've been successful, because they haven't had to deal with all these other off-the-field issues, say the Des Bryant stuff, some of the other things we've seen around the league, and they can focus on football. And I think that's a byproduct, to some degree, of the personnel that Jeff Ireland and his crew are bringing in there. They've got a lot of guys that care about football, very passionate about it, and they're young, trying to prove themselves, so they don't want to screw up. And that's always important, too. They haven't had a chance to, sow their oats, if you will, in the NFL.
Right. And I don't think this Ingram thing is necessarily a distraction. I know people love to label anything that doesn't, fit exactly what management wants as a distraction. People wanted to say all the anthem stuff was a distraction, but, a lot of teams are participating in those, protests last year, and someone had to win those games. So I don't think any, Saints players are like, oh my God, Mark Ingram's not here. Like, how are we going to get through practice? Like, he's going to be there. I'm sure, he'll be there for minicamp. I'm sure he'll be there for the start of training camp. I think, the only thing he's doing is, hurting himself. And, in stories that I've written this offseason, like breaking down the running back group or talking about Ingram, I've sort of hinted at the possibility that this could be his last year with the Saints. But in doing so, I would always be like, obviously the Saints would want to keep him and Kamara together as long as possible. But, they're not going to want to pay him a significant amount of money at that position. And, if he is being a little, the one thing that you could argue, is that he's being a little selfish right now. And so that is, one thing that is not going to make the Saints, even more anxious to give him that deal. So, I definitely don't think this necessarily means the end of Mark Ingram's time with the Saints after this year. But, if there was a 5% chance that this was his last year with the Saints, before, I would say it's definitely increased now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to visit with Brody Miller, talk a little LSU baseball. Tigers with a big win yesterday in the SEC tournament, 6-4, and a very unusual situation contributed to that big victory for LSU. If you didn't hear about it, you'll hear about it next, right here on Dunc and Holder, Sports1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us.
Dave loves this song.
Who is this?
He loves Country Fried Friday. Hey, Dave, can you still hear me? Can you still hear me through the mic?
What'd you do? Did you break it?
No, I didn't
Clyde
do it.
broke it.
Yeah. I broke
Clyde
it.
broke the mic.
I broke the mic.
Jeff, Hanley Ramirez, DFA.
Really? Whoa. The mighty have fallen, man.
He has decent numbers this year.
Somebody will pick him up, I bet.
It's about money.
I think somebody will pick him up.
Did you step on the court or pull the
I don't-
court up?
I don't-
Yeah, you got it. Well, watch out. The wires on your
Yeah,
chair.
if he played the whole season,
It
he
was
would be
working
guaranteed-
earlier.
Yeah, I know. Because I heard it earlier.
If he played the whole season, he would be guaranteed another 22 mil next year.
Hey, look, I got the Peterson audio, him and Maneri.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
perfect.
fucking awesome.
I was actually thinking about that. So
Yeah,
you're
perfect.
set.
It's like 30 seconds. I can play it coming back from the bump.
Let's play it. Yeah, coming
Clyde,
back.
what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Jesus, Clyde.
Clyde's
Let me
bringing
get
it
everything
up.
nice.
I'm gonna relax.
We can't have nice things.
I'm
with
gonna
Clyde.
relax and be a relaxed.
Clyde, why
person
don't you
here.
glide on out of here, okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Clyde.
All hell's breaking loose.
I'm just gonna close up shop now.
Well, crap on a cracker.
Larry leaves and all hell breaks loose.
That's nuts. Alright, well, let me get Brody on the phone and I'll screw with him.
This is Clyde's. Dave's diabolical plan to silence you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so far so good.
He's silencing you.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, I can't hear it at all.
Whoa. This feels much more natural.
Yeah, look at all those.
Just like a Nintendo cartridge.
Oh, nice. Blow into it.
Gotta figure out what possibly could be the connection. No.
Well, shit balls.
Test 1 through. Okay. Guess you fixed it. That's quick enough.
Coming in. Perfect.
I really want to go to Greek Fest, but I don't want to get dumped on.
Wait, what?
I want to go to Greek Fest.
Oh yeah, dude, it's gonna be so wet though.
Dude, the food there's so good.
Yeah.
The legend of Todd Peterson, born
What?
last night. I love the reaction from Paul Maneri. That's classic Paul Maneri, by the way.
Preach.
Some head coaches would probably be a little miffed, and he just laughs it off. Understands that that's kind of the peculiarities of athletic mindset, that you're going to be confident the way Todd Peterson is. And I want the guy that was there that saw all that for us here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune is on the line right now. Brody Miller, our beat writer over in Hoover, Alabama at the SEC baseball tournament. Brody, was that as crazy a scene as you've seen in a while? I mean, it's just an unusual way for that game to play out. And was the crowd also surprised? I mean, kind of take us through how that whole thing got set up for our listeners out there that don't know. LSU won this game in extra innings, and they were in a very unusual situation with their pitcher, Todd Peterson, who'd already pitched, 4 innings or something, had to use him to bat in a situation where he's never batted before. So kind of take us through the scenario and set it up for us. And I guess most of these players, when they reach this level, I mean, they've been great hitters. He was a great little league hitter, I'm sure. He's probably a stud hitter in high school. But when you get to this level, major college, SEC, that's a whole different thing to come up in that situation with your season on the line, elimination game. And I'm wondering what this can do for the LSU team. You win a game like this, you get a boost. I'm wondering if it can carry them through. We don't know who they play, right? They're playing Arkansas, Florida are playing right now. But what do you think this could do for LSU? I mean, could this be a spark that could carry them forward?
Brody, first a couple questions for me. Specifically, obviously, you look at the SC tournament, and there's always some shenanigans that go on, specifically when this tournament starts, whether it's weather, whether it's games. And what's crazy about it is that, in that game before, in that wacky Ole Miss Georgia game that happened before, you figure there's not a lot of anything else you could possibly see that happened on a baseball diamond that will make you just go, oh my God, what is going on out there? But it seems like it happens so often in this tournament, and it seems like, especially when it comes to LSU, there's always at least that one year where LSU has something crazy happens that it ends up being one of those memorable moments in baseball, in LSU baseball lore for a team that always gets to this tournament and something wacky like that happens.
Brody, I gotta ask. I mean, it looked like, he was pretty natural with the bat in his hands. I mean, he drilled that thing. Over the next couple of years for Todd Peterson, can they turn him into like Shohei Ohtani and get him become a dual threat?
All right, we're talking to Brody Miller, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune LSU beat reporter over in Hoover, Alabama, site of the SEC baseball tournament. Brody, let's set up tonight's game. What do we know about tonight? Do we know who LSU is going to chuck? And also, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, I'm assuming Florida's going to beat Arkansas. I guess you never know, but kind of set that up for us. All right. Yeah, you can never count LSU out in this SEC tournament. And you get a win like that, just crazy things happen. You get a little confidence, some momentum, and baseball's a weird sport that way. Mentally, it can kind of carry over, even though I think you're right. They're depleted pitching-wise. We'll catch up to them at some point. All right, Brody, thanks for visiting with us. Have a great game tonight over in Hoover, and we'll
hopefully
talk to
no
you soon.
delays.
Yeah, no rain delays. We won't wish that on you or any more extra innings, because I know what that's like. All right, that's Brody Miller, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune LSU beat reporter over in Hoover, Alabama at the SEC tournament. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Josh about the New Orleans Saints practice, as Allen Iverson would say, as opposed to the OTAs. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw out of Taysom Hill. I'm intrigued because I'm a big Taysom Hill guy. Talking into, let's see, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder, back at you.
Yes.
It's a good song here, big dog.
I want to tell Aaron Rodgers that of all the many things he's done right, he's failed with her. Hey, Danica Patrick? No, get the fuck out.
What'd you do, Clyde?
I didn't do anything other than just basically let Dave blow into some things.
Dave's a magic man.
Yeah. Emphasis on blowing things. Just blow it. Gotcha. It's a great way to go.
They'll probably get beat by about 20 runs tonight.
Oh yeah. If not
Everybody's all
more.
fired up.
Yeah. Everybody's so jacked they're gonna come out.
Woo, LSU!
They're gonna drop 5 runs in the first, then immediately just go into tank mode.
It's like Tulane. They beat Houston and. Hey, Dave, why don't we do the Peyton stuff at the top of the second hour?
This does.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was green, so I know it could.
Yeah. You come and say you can tell. I was like, I'm good.
Is there a way to turn down my headphones a little bit?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Is it?
That's good, yeah. Thanks.
He seems to have stepped right in pretty quick on this LSU thing. This Brody
Oh
Murray.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he's freaking killing it. I mean, the 2 stories that he's ended up doing from like every, including like the gamer and then something else after. Have been,
Yeah, that gamer last night was good.
Yeah.
He captured the.
Because of course you can imagine having most of that written until like the freaking like 8th and 9th, and then you have to go 3 more innings after that.
Yeah, he's got a good like kind of conversational writing style. It's very easy to read. Hey, bud, you want to do Peyton at the top of the hour, like right at the top of 11? We'll kind of go into some of those takes. All right, let's do that. I'll promo it a little bit.
By the way, your boy Denard's ban is helping me significantly in one AL in the league.
He's doing okay.
He's having a
He's been
really
sucking. He sucked for the Giants.
He had one good year, I
He
think.
sucks. That guy sucks. I have no faith in him.
He is the 53rd rated player in my AL in the league.
Welcome back, TGIF. You know what today is, guys? Today is National
Wine
Day.
Yes.
How great is that? Why did we bring in some, not that kind of wine, Dave?
Yeah, not that kind of wine. Not with the H.
The good kind of
The good
wine
kind.
without the H, yes. Why do we have wine here? We should have had wine in the...
I don't know. I thought you liked both kinds of whining.
I like all wine.
Yeah.
I'm not a whiner.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things. I don't whine.
You pour a lot of one and taking a lot of the other.
I rant. I don't whine.
Yeah,
I
rant. Yeah.
I was on a rant coming down here today. I had a little road rage.
Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah.
No. Turn that off. He ain't got no rant today. There's nothing to rant about today. Turn that off.
No, I had a conversation. Had a very, very.
Here we go.
Once again, saw the harbor police out in force, and I started thinking of just how many municipalities or entities, law enforcement entities, do we have here? We have the bridge police, the people that police the bridges here. We have the levee police. You have the harbor police. I mean, how many? It's classic New Orleans. Classic.
How do
classic
you know that there
Louisiana.
aren't these things other places?
It doesn't happen anywhere else.
How do you know that,
Because we're a
Jeff?
third world country, Clyde.
We're a third world
We are a
country.
banana republic with 18
Are we-
different police law enforcement agencies. Do we really need a police agency to enforce and monitor the bridges? Does that happen anywhere else in America? I don't
I'm
think
sure
so.
that it does.
Yeah, I'm sure that it does, Jeff.
All right, well, then bring it on. I want to hear more about it.
Okay, here we go.
I can tell you this.
And do you look for a harbor police too? While
I
you're at
lived
it?
in Louisville, Kentucky. We had a huge bridge right downtown. There was no bridge police.
Louisville's not a real city.
Oh, it's not?
That's not
I
really a
think
real
it's
city.
bigger than New Orleans.
Well, it's
What
not.
about,
Well,
what
it's
about
not
the
good.
New York State Bridge Authority, Jeff?
Yeah, what about that?
How about that?
There might be
I'm not saying the New
How
York
about that?
Googling over there.
Yeah.
You're Googling over there.
Can't catch me at the bridge. How about
Now,
that?
they have a levee police and a harbor police.
I don't think they need a levy. I don't think they need a levy police because they don't have any levies.
I mean, why don't we
in
just
New
have a
York.
neutral ground police here? I mean, there's neutral grounds.
Now
unarmed.
that I will pay for with taxes. Please
It's crazy.
tell people when they can and can't park on the neutral ground. Mardi Gras, flooding, hurricane season. Yeah, give me that.
So is your beef, which is ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous.
I apologize to all the listeners out there
Thank
that you have
you.
to deal with this.
Too many law enforcement
But
agencies.
we got to poke holes in Jeff's arguments.
Naturally,
as
like
much
we
as
normally
can.
do.
So would you feel better if those were just NOPD?
Yes.
The same number of people.
Yes,
it's
it's
just
a bridge. It extends over the river. Why do we need a separate law enforcement agency to govern and monitor it and enforce any kind of laws on it? It's just a bridge. What if there wasn't a body of water there? It was just a road going over land. No separate agency
Why
there.
do you care?
Why
that's,
is it? Yeah.
that's
Why
the,
do you?
That's the
yeah.
question.
Where did
Who
you
cares?
get like
Probably involving some kind of tax money, I'm sure.
I just have to, Jeff. Who hurt you? That's all I have to ask. Who hurt you?
You guys need to grow up a little bit and understand how the world works. There's a lot of things involved here with taxes. Could be who knows?
I think we realize
Doesn't
that.
go- why-
I think as full paying taxed Americans here, I think we
If
kind
you
of
don't
get
understand, all right, let me ask you it this way: why does it go on anywhere else? Why is it unique to here? Why do we have 15 different law enforcement agencies?
that. But how do we know that it's only unique to here?
Trust me, I've lived in a bunch of places.
I know you have. You've
A
lived
bunch
in
of places.
Monroe.
Where have you lived,
You've
Clyde?
lived in Monroe.
I've
You've
lived
in,
all over the country.
You're from
Tennessee,
Louisville. You've been in Nashville,
Washington D.C.,
Washington,
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa.
I lived in a bunch of places.
I'm just
They're
picturing
not
Jeff.
18 different law enforcement.
I'm just picturing Jeff in like some situation at a restaurant, and there's like a guy who's like New Orleans Bridge Police.
Oh yeah, he walks
He's
in.
like 6 years old, and this guy just like spits on his grilled cheese.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
Jeff has hated
Fair
them
enough.
ever since.
Fair enough.
He's like,
That's the
why
only
are
way it
there
would
bridge
make sense.
police? I don't even know what bridges are, but why are there bridge police?
Yeah, well,
We need-
harbor
we need
police.
people like me to ask these questions.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Yes, we
Clearly,
do.
we don't. No, not only
Yes,
do
we
we
do.
not need you to ask these questions, if there's someone out there, call the second hour so we can please make Jeff feel worse, because this is all silly.
We, as a news agency a few years ago, shined the light on the assessor and how New Orleans was backward with it. They had a million different assessors. Now we have one assessor because of our diligence as a news outlet.
Breaking news, we got something right.
Yes, I think there's a reason for all these different agencies, and there's something nefarious in my mind.
Alvin Kamara looked really good at practice.
Thank you. Thank you. That,
All right,
I
we'll
mean,
switch
how?
gears.
Yeah, let's say how did he look? How did he feel post game? Did you talk a little bit about Mark Ingram? Josh, tell us more, please, so we can end this.
Well, no. So there was one play. I mean, obviously, there's so many plays in these off-season practices that you can just brush off. They can't tackle. But having seen what Alvin Kamara did last year and knowing how hard it is to tackle him, there was a play yesterday where he basically had just like a 75-yard touchdown. I mean, there were a couple guys that would have had a chance to tackle him if they were actually tackling, but I mean, you could just see the speed, the agility, all the same stuff we saw last year, and it all just looked so natural. And I mean, obviously, you could tell Mark Ingram wasn't there, but didn't seem like the offense was suffering at all.
I got to tell you, I think Josh has a man crush on Alvin Kamara.
Who doesn't in this city?
I think he
mean,
does.
Alvin Kamara's on TV commercials now. He's selling endorsements in the city. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean,
I have a
the
man crush
number
on
of
Marcus
Kamara
Colston, I admit
jerseys I feel like I see in this city now is, I mean, it's dumb. I mean, it's dumb in a good way. But I mean, obviously, people are smitten with Alvin Kamara.
No, all kidding aside, though, Alvin Kamara, the thing that I love about watching him as just someone, an observer, watched a lot of football in my career, as I'm an old guy, as you all know.
Yeah, we know.
But he doesn't seem to have this one, what's the word I'm looking for? One skill or talent that just blows you away. He doesn't seem like he's that fast. He doesn't seem like he's that powerful. He doesn't seem like Darren Sproles elusive, but he's got all of it. It seems like a little bit of all of it. And he slides. He's got this way of making himself small, as they say, not taking on big hits. But it's just amazing. No one ever can get to that guy. And he's just a remarkable runner, a remarkable athlete. But when I watch him play, I'm always amazed that no one can tackle him because it doesn't seem like he's Adrian Peterson out there to me when I watch him run. But nevertheless, he's been a remarkable find for the Saints and a guy that I think Sean Payton also has a man crush on because he can't stop talking about him and he can't stop talking about Taysom Hill, who is, by all accounts, going to get a great shot this year to prove himself as maybe the heir apparent to Drew Brees. This is his first time getting evaluated as a quarterback for the most part because when they got him last year, the season was already getting ready to start. They didn't have time to kind of get him in with enough reps into the regular offense. They quickly worked him into the scout team and as a special teamer, but they're now getting a chance to see Taysom Hill as a quarterback, and sounds like Sean Payton likes what he sees. But look, we're in the middle of May. So I'll always caution people. You never know exactly how this whole thing's going to play out. The one thing I want to get from you, Josh, I guess real quick before we sign off here at the top of the hour, what do you think's going to happen at running back? Do you think they're going to bring in a veteran? I think he wants to give these young guys a chance, but in the back of his mind, he thinks, well, camp, we might bring in a veteran to fill Mark Ingram's spot.
No, I think he's going to give these young guys as much of a chance as he can. But I think, remember 2 years ago at training camp, they brought in Cortland Finnegan, when
Yep.
they were unsure of what they had at cornerback. I think I could see something like that going down where you give these guys as much of a chance to prove themselves as possible. but then you bring in a veteran just, to provide a little bit more competition, and then, you see how it shakes out. I mean, that doesn't, just because you sign a veteran, I mean, obviously there's different levels. If it's someone like, I think DeMarco Murray is still out there. If you sign someone like that, you're probably going to expect him to make the roster. But I think, they would get like a lower tier veteran, as cheap as possible. And if that guy makes the roster, great. If not, no big deal. It's a sign that you trust these younger guys. I think it's more likely that, they'll bring whoever they bring in. I don't think that guy's going to have a role. I do expect it to be these young guys. Jonathan Williams obviously already has some experience. He ran, for the Bills a couple years ago. Boston Scott actually looked really good yesterday. He looked really natural catching the ball. And then Bobby Hebert asked Peyton about that after practice, and Peyton pointed out that they don't view him as a joker back. They actually think he's going to be an all-around running back and can actually run through the tackles and stuff. So I think they'll be just fine. But there could be a brief time in training camp where an older guy shows up.
All right, hour 1 is in the books. We'll continue this discussion on into hour 2 after the top of the hour break. And it's going to be all Saints in the second hour. So if you want to chime in, give us your thoughts, want to ask Josh any questions, 260-1280 is the number to call. And we will hear at the top of the hour from Saints coach Sean Payton as he gives a press briefing with local reporters after yesterday's OTA. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Top of the hour break coming up. We'll be back right after this break. Those are y'all taking up for all these stupid little law enforcement.
I just think it's no reason to call them out for any reason. That
What are you talking about? It's like classic New Orleans backwards.
Classic New Orleans
Classic New Orleans backwards. 100. We need a bridge police. Really? You're going to argue for the bridge police? Really? A bridge? It's like 100 yards long. Come on.
Just seems unnecessary.
Who cares?
Call things out when you see
it. Just seems unnecessary, dude.
I didn't get a chance to jump in there, but when he said you're old and crotchety.
You're old and crotchety. Phrase it.
Not old and crotchety.
Call it.
Why is it when a young person complains, nobody's called, you can't complain.
I've never complained about anything in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never complained about anything in my life. Clearly.
Say something, you're all of a sudden old. Complain you're old.
I get some more coffee. How much longer do we have?
You got like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got. Oh no, you got about 6 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tonight, the Eastern Conference Finals continue in the NBA playoffs with crucial games.
LeBron's going to go off tonight.
No, he's not.
Get even.
No, he's not.
You don't think so?
No, I think he's. I think this series is over. I think he can look, and you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. You're actually right. He is going to go off, and the Cavs are still going to lose because no one else is going to play. No one else is going to play well. J.R. Smith's not going to step up.
He was non-existent.
He's been non-existent in this series. So he'll go off for 40, but then J.R. Smith won't get any run. Corver won't be able to get any run. You're gonna be hoping that Larry Nance and Tristan Thompson come to your aid, and that's not gonna happen.
I love the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean,
so much fun.
they are fun. They're fun to watch. They're great.
Unbelievable next year.
Yeah.
I mean, could they trade Hayward or Kyrie and just
For what?
first round picks?
Well, I mean, they're gonna get a.
Actually, no. That's
No.
That's a bad. That's always going to be a bad trade because you're giving the other team ammo to make that first round pick work.
Yeah.
By the way, a girl I went out with like a year ago just texted me that she heard me on the radio. So pretty good.
Really?
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Backhand, baby.
Not interested.
No, but want to let you know that I'm balling out. Thank you. Enjoy yourself. Have a good weekend.
There could be a big change coming this long weekend to your walls, deck, or trim. The Home Depot's got $10 off 1 gallon cans and $49
right. Well, I'm going to Greek Fest later, so
Very nice.
So Greek Fest is awesome.
Yeah, so
something up there. Dude, the food is so good.
I
Like,
love the food there.
If
I'm
there
gonna
was
run that run.
actually, I'm gonna ask like if any of them are like from a restaurant because I would go to that restaurant all the time.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, I wouldn't be
there's a couple
surprised.
restaurants in there.
But like, I want to get that calamari all the time. That baklava sundae, which is incredible. I'm just gonna go stuff my face for 2 hours.
There you go. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. See some Greek dancing or whatever, and just call it a day.
Yeah, the Greek music doesn't really do it for me. But last year I saw.
That's what I said.
It was great. Last year I saw Bobby there with his family. It was like his wife and his daughter. I was like with my buddy who I'd only known for like a couple months, and like his friend, like a state season ticket holder, and like I'm just cruising with Bobby, like this is Daniel and Andrew, and no other dude that I didn't really know. He's like, what the fuck was that? He had no idea who I was, like why I would know Bobby Abrams.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like, this shit is like completely like it's one of your friends and you're just like, I don't understand. How did that just happen?
Like, yeah, I read about the Saints.
So you kind of have to know, kind of know who he is, and
that was the day Bobby introduced me to his wife and bragged about how I projected Marshawn Lattimore in the mock draft. He's like,
oh, you bet Joan?
Josh. Oh, Marshawn Lattimore, he had it in the mock. He's the only one.
And the best thing about that is Joan could not give any less of a shit. She does not care. Very nice. Must say, lovely woman. Joan's lovely, but she is literally there to keep him sober. And to drive him home.
Sam Farmer called out Steve Kerr. I love it.
Ooh, for what?
Steve Kerr eviscerates the NFL for stepping on the free speech of players. Certainly his prerogative, but it's worth noting the NBA's anthem policy is even more rigid.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Oh shit!
Everybody rips on the NFL. It's like an easy thing to do. No one ever rips on these other sports. It's the exact point I was making. It's like
right, but listen, the NBA already had this policy.
That's what I'm saying though. They had to come up with a policy because they were getting killed for not having a policy. Right. Then they come up with one, and everybody kills them for a policy. It's like, give me a fucking break, man. Like no matter what they do, people knee-jerk reaction. I don't know. I read a bunch of owners talking about it. I thought they sounded very reasonable. They're like, look, we want to create open ability for people to have a choice. I mean, if you're going to rip on it, tell me what you think they should do. Just allow them to continue to do it? I don't know. The NBA doesn't.
Although there is a point to be said about it. If the NFL would have done anything about it, like, would it have still been a thing? Because it has been in the national conscience and nothing's been done about it. And the amount of people who were doing it towards the end of the year anyway were the same ones anyway. It wasn't really pulling the needle that bad. So what would have been the worst thing?
I think you could definitely criticize them for taking too long to address it, but now that they've tried to address it, I'm just tired of like groupthink. I'm sick of it. That's all you see on social media now. Nobody can think for themselves or make their own thought. They have to just, and that's definitely what happened with the NFL and Goodell. No matter what he does, it's like no one even thinks. They just criticize him. All right, so we're going to go into some Peyton stuff here. All right, bud. Yeah. I'll probably go right in order of how we have it. Yeah, I know. Do you want to do those back to back? Okay. Yeah. Then we'll come right back with the second Taysom Hill. Then I'll just go in order after that. Duncan Holder, TGIF, Hour 2, Hour 1 in the books, and we are rocking it here at the iHeartRadio studios in downtown New Orleans. Cladico, Clad Verdan, Josh Katzenstein sitting in for Larry Holder, who has the day off. Dave DeCorbier, Behind the Glass. Spinning the Wax on Country Fried Friday. National Wine Day. We have no wine here. Somebody dropped the ball. I think that was Josh's job to bring the wine in.
I'm just hoping Dave will play some of that new Pusha T. You know, we don't need all country.
Oh, yes.
True, yeah.
That's
So-
what the people
Give me some
want
of
to
that
hear.
Pusha T.
That's what makes it so good. It's not for the kids. It's for the
It's
adults.
not for the children, man.
And what
This is for the grown and sexy.
educate this old man. So this thing came out today. What's the deal?
Yeah,
He
keep out
dropped it.
today. Pusha T's new album, Daytona.
And where's he from? You know?
The Bronx.
Okay. That's about all I need to know.
No.
No,
I mean, I think he's probably about the same age as Booker T, right?
that's good. Yeah, probably.
And so this is a big thing in the world of pop culture.
Yeah, so
rap
it's
music.
Hip hop, yes.
Okay.
It's his first album in like a long time. I can't.
Album? They
Yeah,
still
it's been
call them albums?
yeah, still call them
Yeah, yeah.
albums.
Okay.
I mean, they're still full length
There-
albums.
Okay. Album. I didn't know if that was the term.
2011 was his last album, so like this is like a big drop. It's
Produced,
also
produced
What
by
happened?
produced by Kanye.
and Kanye was like tweeting. Kanye like a month ago tweeted out like all these plans of like this new music that was gonna drop, but nobody can believe a word Kanye says anymore.
No, can't
So
do it.
everyone was shocked until a couple days ago. Pusha T tweeted, and he's like, "Yeah, it's coming out."
Yeah.
And it did.
And it dropped yesterday.
So
and
believe in
it's
Kanye.
hot.
Come on, man.
Oh
hot.
well, you can believe in Kanye, or you can believe in the fact that there's no better PR than just anything you can get. And if you have been under a rock, at least the last maybe 16 hours, you'll notice that there's been a lot of stories for the fact that the cover of Pusha T's album is a certain bathroom that was used in a documentary of one now departed forever, Whitney Houston. Her bathroom, which if you watch the documentary, it was a Showtime documentary, which is fantastic, by the way. I would recommend anybody watch it. Is littered with drug paraphernalia, beer cans, littered throughout it. So they paid $85,000 just to use it for the album cover. $85,000.
That's half of Josh's salary in a year.
Josh, really?
It's crazy.
I need to get you to buy more beers, man. Good lord.
Crazy,
man.
I didn't realize that.
All right, well, I appreciate you all educating me on
Yes,
the,
obviously Pusha
modern
T,
music.
one half of the fantastic group Clips.
Maybe I'll go home and download it and listen to it and see if
What
I
happened to that boy?
can get on it. But, I used to be a rapper. I've told it. many
Yeah,
times
yeah,
on
we know
this
you told us, and
program.
we still
Jeff,
believe you. Which
Jeff
is fine.
loves what was it? Rapper's Delight.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, we
Back
played
in
it
the
yesterday.
day.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
played it yesterday. And he was like, "Oh yeah, hip hop. This is my stuff right here." Oh, yeah.
One time they played it at before a football game, and he was just like going crazy, rapping the whole thing. I was like, "Damn, Jeff."
They were at.
Oh, that's
Carolina
right. They
Panthers
were
Saints
at the
game,
Panthers
and I
game.
met them the next day.
All right.
That was a highlight of my life.
Not even a humble brag.
And I
That's
dropped
just,
a-
that's just a brag.
I dropped a cameo reference on Clive last night. And
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
shout out from Stan Verrett at ESPN. So I'm comfortable in my pop culture.
But I mean,
and
yeah,
music
but you're
knowledge.
lucky that you used Cameo. Also, again, if you'd used anything but Cameo, I would have given you all the curse words. Now you only get some of the curse words because I love me some Cameo.
Who doesn't love Cameo? They're awesome. Matter of
Word
fact,
up!
I would love to go see a cameo. All right, 504-260-1280, the number to call if you want to talk some New Orleans Saints. We've got the expert in the house today, Josh Katzenstein. No one covers them better or more thoroughly than Josh. He was out at the OTA practices yesterday, and we are going to hear from Sean Payton right now. Sean Payton had a 20-minute press briefing with local reporters. Everybody could not get enough Saints questions in to Sean Payton. He kidded the local press corps that it felt like the NFC Championship game because everybody was peppering with all these questions. But there was a lot to talk about, and he started off talking about something that I'm kind of keenly interested in watching this offseason, and that is the development of Taysom Hill. This is a guy that Sean Payton is very high on, believes he could potentially be the heir apparent to Drew Brees. He's a great athlete, played on special teams a year ago, and this is the first chance that they are getting to look at Taysom Hill thoroughly as a quarterback. And he was asked if this OTA is a great chance to get a good evaluation of Taysom Hill. And Sean was asked about the progression of Taysom Hill in his development as a quarterback. And Peyton was asked about new receiver Cameron Meredith from the Chicago Bears. Of course, signed as a restricted free agent. He's had a knee injury. He's coming off a knee injury. Was asked about how he's looked and his status. Peyton was asked about the depth chart at linebacker. A lot of new linebackers in the mix here. He was asked about how that's sorting itself out. And Peyton was asked about his early impressions of first-round draft pick Marcus Davenport. And finally, Sean was asked on if he's spoken to the team about the end of last season. Yeah, let's skip it. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. That's why I skipped it. It was getting too long, I thought. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll go to it after. I'll talk to Josh after this. Okay. Are you guys surprised he hasn't spoken to the team about how last season ended?
No, I don't think so.
Really? Yeah, that kind of surprised me a little bit.
What's he gonna say?
Yeah,
I don't know.
What do you say?
I don't know. I just thought he would say something. I don't know.
And what do you
hey
think?
guys,
he
we
would,
got a chip on our shoulders. Let's go. Or,
I mean, I'm
to dwell. on it.
sure he discussed it in their end of season meeting last year, but I mean everyone's coming back together. I mean the focus is starting fresh, and all that. So there's no reason to sort of put that in their head, right away. I mean I think he makes a good point. It'll obviously come up in training camp at some point, but there's no reason to talk about it right now.
Well, that's what made me ask that, because why would it come up in training camp and not come up
well,
now?
and let's not pretend that football coaches, motivators, football players need any extra motivation. But let's not pretend that this will be the first or the last time that this is going to be used in some kind of motivational tactic. Specifically, if it's not used in the beginning of the season, before they play the Vikings, some point at the end of the season, going into the playoffs. I mean, they always find ways to regurgitate these things in different ways, just so that it's not, hey guys, remember what happened last year? No, like it's beyond that now. The psychology of it's so different that these guys have got to find new and different ways of getting it ingrained into the players. We shouldn't have to say what happened last year, but we're going to give you subtle reminders that if you don't want to feel this feeling again, here's how the rest of this kind of lays out. So I don't think Sean Payton specifically needs to say anything, but don't act like, or we shouldn't expect, they're going to use this in some kind of motivational material, I would imagine, multiple times throughout the season.
You don't think they do like a skull clap, start practice?
I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to do a choke sign when they play the Falcons. I don't think there's going to be a death stare when they play the Vikings again.
You never know with Sean Payton.
Is there anything else that Sean did last year that we need to
You never
need to
know.
figure out?
With the broom man. All right, let's take a break and we'll continue this discussion on the other side. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us. Wow, that's good. What's that?
See how young, yeah.
That's a good song.
Oh, they're coming here this summer.
I don't think I've ever heard of Eli Young Band.
Huh. Well, I mean,
I'm
yeah,
too busy
well, that's
listening to Push T or whatever his name is.
Pusha T. Pusha T.
Push it good.
Oh, the fire. Oh, so spicy. So spicy.
Oh wait, this is what I
Eric
wanted
B.
to
and
show you.
Raheem. I was listening to that at
You're
the
the
gym
subject
today.
of that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
If the next letter was an E, it'd be great.
Oh yeah. If it was, I was about to
It's a G.
What's so terrible is that the first thing I thought was like, oh, that's definitely going to be an E. It's not. Damn it. We were so close.
I had a little talking out of the side of your neck at the gym this morning. The young kids don't even know
No, they do
that's
know.
Cameo.
Well, they don't know
They
it's
think
Cameo.
it's LSU band or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Because there's a 5-word statement that they want to say
I
after
know,
that.
I know. They still.
Oh
play it?
yeah. They still play
I
it
know they were
now.
like- there
but
was
they
a
only
time
play
they
it.
were-
But they only play it in certain situations and mostly after all the old people have left the stadium.
It's a great thing to play like a football game.
What?
SEC football. Like, there's nothing better like SEC games and bands rocking. Talking up the side of your neck. It'd actually be a good thing to play right now with the Trump administration. It's basically about politicians in Washington.
Yeah.
That's what it is about.
Hey, where's this market you were talking about?
Yeah, you want to go with us? Lunch?
Where is it?
I'll buy y'all lunch.
Where is it?
Okay.
Auction House Market.
Oh, auction house right down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't
I'm
been.
only wondering how close it is because it's right.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened yesterday. I got freaking caught
It's
in the rain.
not far.
But it's hard to get to
Yeah.
driving wise. It's
Yeah,
better to
because
walk.
it's right off of Mag.
It's right across from Pesh.
Yeah.
Exactly across the
Okay.
street.
Yeah.
But I tried to drive yesterday because remember it was almost looked like it was going to rain.
Mhm.
And when we caught, and then there's all these one ways,
Yeah.
and there was like some construction project going on. I
Yeah,
couldn't get
yeah.
down one way. It turned into a goddamn clusterfuck.
I went to this place
This
in.
didn't go out on the
I went to this
air.
market in
Right.
similar in Atlanta. It's called Ponce Street Market. It was awesome.
Really?
Oh yeah.
This place has these has this Indian like
Street food? Oh.
Indian food.
No, right.
No, we're good. Got
Yeah.
a minute. Called a dosa. You ever heard of that? A DOSA?
I don't think
It's a
so.
little like a falafel a little bit, but it's like kind of sweet. The crepe kind of thing. It's like a crepe.
So it's not like a falafel. Or
No,
they
it's like a crepe. More like a crepe.
More like crepe, not like a falafel.
Well, it's a
Those
little.
two
like
are
a
not
falafel.
from the same.
I know, but it's the same kind of concept. You have a
Ooh, Chris
bread
Paul's gonna
wrapped
miss
around.
Saturday's game. Chris Paul's out for Saturday.
Is he out?
Uh huh. The
Wait,
Rogers.
you're allowed to announce in advance.
What?
Players
How they
miss
gonna-
a game?
How
Yeah.
they gonna?
It's like what?
How they gonna adjust to that?
He will be reevaluated after the team.
So he's going to be out, and then they get him ready. They're just getting him ready for Game 7. That's smart. Play him at home, be full strength. Music City.
Man. Really hope I can go to Greek Fest.
Well, I mean, the good news is maybe it won't be that terrible, although at the same time, though, I saw a weather report and trying to see if I can pull back up.
All right.
Yeah, 4 to 6 inches possible through Saturday evening. So,
We'll be driving.
Oh, the flash flood watch.
Welcome back. Duncan Holder bringing it home on a Friday, Country Fried Friday, and a rainy.
wet now Friday.
Is this Alberto? Is this
No,
count?
Alberto's not here yet. No, this doesn't
What
count.
is this? This is like cousin? Alberto's cousin? What's going on?
This is baby Alberto.
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what it was. Alberto is coming in when? Do we know?
Sometime
Sunday or Monday.
Sunday or Monday. Yeah.
And we're supposed to be on the west side of it, right?
Yes. So it's the quote unquote dry side, but
The
still
dry side
the
of it.
dry side.
The tropical depression.
But it's still going to be pretty wet.
I don't think this is a good sign that we're having named storms in May. That's
Yeah.
just, my amateur meteorological opinion. But
And by the way, did I say? Remember how I said yesterday that there's expected to be 1 to 4? Yeah, I was. Yeah, another story came out that there's actually supposed to be 5 to 9 active storms.
these meteorologists, they're always adjusting stuff. Come
5 to
on.
9 active storms this hurricane season.
I don't believe anything they say after what I went through at the Derby. The Kentucky Derby was supposed to be dry, and it ended up being it rained all day for 24 hours. It rained, and you'd think that that's the one day of the year the local meteorologists would be on top of their game, and they didn't know what the heck was going on. So, don't get me on another rant. Dave doesn't have his soapbox music ready.
Thank goodness. Thank
But
God.
I do want to talk. a little more about the Saints and what Sean Payton said. One of the things that I was curious about was Cam Meredith. Now, Cam Meredith sounds like he's ahead of schedule. But what does that mean? I mean, right now, how do we know what kind of contribution is he going to make at this point? Is he moving, or is he actually in practice? What's his status?
So yeah, he was at practice. I mean, I think that is already a good sign. He not only was he at practice, he participated in position drills. So he caught a pass from Drew Brees. I mean, that is for Cam Meredith the lowest tender, which is I believe 1 year and 1.9 million.
Correct.
All they had to do was go to the second level of the tender, which is a second round pick. I believe that was like 2.7 million, or like
Yeah, wasn't that
basically
much more.
another $1 million. Instead, they go out and spend $70 million on 2 wide receivers when they could have just had this guy. So clearly,
He's
you
from
know,
Illinois.
yeah, and he's from there.
Local
I mean,
kid.
he obviously has produced there. I mean, obviously, he didn't have any experience playing with Mitchell Trubisky, and they've had staff change since then on the coaching side. But still, I mean, this is a guy who produced at a very high level 2 years ago. You would think that as long as he comes back healthy, he'll be able to produce again. So I think that, the Bears are definitely in a situation where they could be deeply regretful if everything works out with Cam Meredith.
The other subplot, the fact that Sean Payton said, no, he looks exactly like our doctors said.
Yeah.
So
oh no,
he's giving
Peyton
credit
Yeah. Oh yeah.
to the team doctors for an evaluation that he feels like was good compared to what Chicago gave Cam Meredith on their side.
Right. No, this is definitely going to be a situation where there's going to be any time Peyton talks about Cam Meredith, there's going to be undertones of him taking shots at Ryan Pace.
Yes, and also him bolstering the Saints doctors, which he
Which they
was
deserve at this
he had
point.
part of
Right.
getting rid of the old doctors.
Right.
And now he's saying, yeah, see, these new doctors made a good evaluation. That's the way I read that. Just a little subtlety to Sean Payton's comments. But that's obviously great news for the Saints if Cam Meredith is available this year, because he brings something to the receiving core they really don't have right now, and I think has great potential. We just don't know if he can hold up. He has a serious injury. He had multiple, I think, ligaments, and those are always dicey. I mean, you never know if somebody's going to stay healthy. Now, the other thing that I read, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this because you know better than I do, but it sounded to me like, now maybe I'm wrong, I've been wrong once, I think it was 87, I was wrong.
I'm glad you can reach back and find that.
Yeah, it was 1987, but it has happened, I've been wrong, but it sounded like they were using these linebackers, these veterans, Davis, Klein, and who's the other one?
Teo?
No, it wasn't Teo, it was the other linebacker. It sounded to me like they were trying to get insurance at weak side linebacker in case Anzalone can't go.
Right.
I just was reading.
Stupar?
No, it wasn't Stupar. I can't remember who it was. It sounded like the linebacker core might be 3 veterans. It wasn't Robertson. I can't remember who it was.
I mean, there's Jaron Elliott is the other guy, but he doesn't have that much experience. I mean, either way, I mean, basically what we saw yesterday was Demario Davis was out there all the time. Alex Anzalone, with the primary will, but they were working Manti Te'o in there sometime at Mike. AJ Klein was not available for practice yesterday, but I mean, those were the top 3 guys yesterday. It was Davis, Anzalone, and Teo. But certainly, I mean, they know that Anzalone has a history of these shoulder issues, so even though they're optimistic that he'll be, able to return to that starting role, I definitely think that they are well aware that they need depth behind him.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I think they like the fact that these guys can all play different positions. Gives them some versatility there, some flexibility in the case of injuries, and Peyton talked about that with the offensive line as well. You got to have flexibility there, guys that can swing to different positions. And then the other thing that I was kind of, interested in was you could tell early on, and Sean Payton's an easy read. We've covered him long enough. You can tell when he likes a guy, and he sounds like he really likes Marcus Davenport. He talked about his strength. That was something that kind of surprised me. I don't think I knew that about him being strong. I knew he was this tall, willowy guy that could run, but he talked about the strength element, and that to me is a good sign. So it's not a guy that is just going to be out there for maybe passing downs. It sounds to me like they might throw him out there right off the bat.
I mean, he's not as big as Cam Jordan, but he's built similarly, just in terms of the bulk. I mean, this is a guy, in talking to coaches at UTSA, I mean, Davenport fell in love with the weight room, over his last couple of years when he knew he needed to add weight. So, yeah, I mean, he's really sturdy as a player, and that's one of the benefits to getting him. I mean, we've seen the Saints, I mean, aside from the pick of Hao Kakaha a few years ago, all their defensive ends and pass rushers that they're taking are really bulky so that they can stand up against the run.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that they're hoping Davenport will be able to do as well. So, I think, and right now he's getting first-team reps because Cam Jordan didn't practice with the team drills yesterday. Mm-hmm. Alex Okafor is obviously still a little bit away, so it was mostly Davenport and Hendrickson that were out there with the ones. And, I mean, Davenport didn't flash too much to me, but, I mean, obviously they're throwing him right into the fire, so they're thinking that, if he keeps, getting these reps now by training camp, he should be able to do a little bit more.
All right, let's continue this discussion on the other side of the break here. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us. Now, I got the sense he's freaking going to start. Like, they're throwing, I think, Marshawn Lattimore, like, they're just going to live and sink or swim with this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him. I would, too.
I'm going to say, why wouldn't you?
I would throw him out there, man. 6'6", let him learn. And trial by fire. He sounds like a smart kid. Who's this Henry Mondu? Mondu. Who's that?
It's from Oregon.
Yeah. He,
sound that guy like in the offseason or something?
No, undrafted free agent.
Oh, okay. Thanks for wiggling my mouse, Dave. So we'll have one more break, and then we'll be done. I don't don't know who I was thinking of a linebacker. You nailed them all. I was just,
Do you follow who it is? That's glorious. That is glorious.
Starving.
Holla.
Man, I'm gonna spend all weekend playing the show, listening to the new Pusha and ASAP albums. It's gonna be glorious.
It's not a bad weekend.
I love a good rainy weekend.
Yeah, right? Try to tell people to get on the train with them, they just don't listen. But it's nice, relaxing, just chill, all that good stuff.
bum, 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 bum. Now he's got that in my head. I like both these coaches. I like D'Antoni
And Kerr?
and Kerr. I like D'Antoni's just like, fuck it, we're running isolation. Even though I hate watching it.
Yeah,
I hate
it's
ISO
like
basketball. It's just so boring to me, but it's effective. We have to come back? Okay. Just
yeah, it's getting worse.
Jeez,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
getting
raining.
I'm glad I brought a rain jacket.
Am I gonna be stranded here?
A little bit, probably.
Welcome back, TGIF, a rainy, wet Friday in New Orleans. Before we get back into the Saints talk, though, I've been meaning to do this all week at the risk of derailing the show,
Oh,
even
great.
more than it's been derailed.
Here we go.
No, Clyde, I'm bringing you into the conversation here. Cladico time. Tell me about Cookout.
Oh, yeah, bro, what? What?
I forgot
Yes.
to bring up Cookout.
Oh, yeah, we
Now,
can't go this week without talking about
Let's
Cookout.
set this up though.
Get it.
Clyde was out of state on a little mini vacation, I guess, this past weekend, and he tweeted out about his love of this place called Cookout, which I've never even heard of.
I've heard of it, but I've never had it.
And Clyde
Yeah.
was raving over it, and the Cookout folks jumped into the conversation. I was trying to get you a sponsorship.
I know. I think I almost got it. And trust me, like I would take either their basketball jersey or their football jersey because they make those, and then they only give them out random times. They only sell them random times. I would totally get in on that.
So inform me. What the heck are we
Okay,
talking about?
so
What is
so
it?
I was in
Fast
Atlanta.
food?
Yeah, it's fast food. It's a fast food place. It's a fast food joint. You can find it pretty much anywhere, like starting in Mississippi and going east, all the way to the eastern seaboard and up to as far as Virginia as I've seen it. But I've had it now in 7 states. In
Seven
the
states,
mixed
you're
outs.
counting.
The first time I had it was literally by accident.
I mean,
first
you're
time I had it was
counting? You're
literally
really
by
counting?
accident.
You're like, honey,
Well, I
this
didn't
is the
realize.
same state.
Well, I mean, I like.
He's got a map and he
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
puts a pin in
Yeah,
like, each
absolutely.
state.
The first one started in
Number 7.
Harrisonburg, Virginia was the first time by accident. We were there for a softball super regional, and literally, if you know how these super regionals go, they end up late. You're doing a lot of work, especially if you end up going to the World Series after that, which is next week. And we just needed a place to eat. I mean, we were starving. There were only so many places. And again, we're in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And so there was this place off the side of the road that we were just like, hey, let's go and have it. Well, needless to say, it was kind of like red pill, blue pill moment. And it was just kind of like mind blowing, and we realized the beauty of Cookout. Cookout
What is so good about it?
So Cookout is
Tell me
literally
what's so good.
So the tray. If you know what I'm talking about, you're getting a tray. Number one. So the tray is you get an entree, but you also get to choose another like modern entree. So let's say you want a hamburger, you want a double burger, double cheeseburger, but you want a quesadilla. You want a double burger, chicken nuggets. You want a double burger and what else am I thinking of?
I mean, is the food good?
Yeah, the food. I mean, the food is decent,
I mean,
but I mean, at the same time. So here's what I get.
Is it
It's a
just
double
the
burger.
choice?
It's a double
Makes it
burger.
so great.
2 orders of fries and a milkshake, $7.50.
No, that's pretty good.
It's
I mean, that's
cheap as all get out, and it's usually open until like 2, sometimes even 4 in the
Is this
morning.
like a White Castle kind of thing?
No, it's definitely not White Castle. No, it's definitely not White Castle. Like these burgers aren't
White
tiny.
Castle's pretty cheap.
I mean, White Castle's pretty cheap. I mean, you're talking about the type of burgers that you get. Like you get, the steam buns, steam burger.
I'm a little dubious though that they have quesadillas and burgers. That seems a little.
Well, I mean, that's not even it, man. They got quesadillas. They got quesadillas and chicken fingers, onion rings, fries, other stuff. It's quintessential, like.
You're not
and-
selling it.
It sounds like a fast food restaurant with quesadillas.
But it's not just quesadillas.
Quesadillas. It's like when Burger King used to sell tacos. Like it's like the
Exactly.
like
Oh,
the
yeah, I
one
do
thing
remember that. I do
puts
remember
it
that.
on the top. Like I mean, okay, that sounds like a great deal, and the late night aspect sounds
Yes, 'cause-
cool.
well, and
but,
here's the
but
other
listen,
thing, though,
you
too.
can go to any restaurant that serves burgers and chicken nuggets, and you can get burgers and chicken nuggets.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah, you're not
It's not.
selling
Okay.
It's not like a
okay.
deal to get 2 entrees.
All right,
Like you
all right.
can order
I'm gonna
2
be.
entrees anywhere
Okay,
you want.
I'm gonna be real with you here. Okay, but you can also. So I'm gonna run through the menu. So
Oh wait,
okay, I'm not running through the whole menu, but I will tell you why the best things
The
ever.
show's getting derailed.
So yeah, well, it's your fault. So you get a hamburger, you get barbecue, you get hot dogs, you get a big double burger, you get a quesadilla, regular chicken, Cajun chicken, spicy chicken, barbecue char grilled chicken, chicken strips. Then for your sides, and you can double the sides: hush puppies, slaw, onion rings, fries, chicken nuggets, chili, corn dogs, chicken wrap, quesadillas, and a bacon wrap.
is it any good
and-
though?
yes,
Is
it's
it
good.
any
It sounds
I mean,
like
here's the
Wendy's with quesadillas.
Yes,
now.
exactly.
You
And,
can go
and the way they cook the food is obviously the whole thing about Cookout is supposed to be like char grilled, char broiled, like you're at a Cookout. Here's the thing, and again,
it's got to be good.
outside the milkshake, and I think it's good. Here's the thing. It's not about it. Like you're focusing on the good aspect.
Yeah.
At 2:30 in the morning, at 3:00 in the morning, after you've been sitting at a softball field for about 12 hours, no one cares about good. You just need something
I
to be
always
able to
care
get
about
it.
good.
Well, that's a problem for you.
Always care.
The rest of us humans, the rest of us normal humans, at 3:00 in the morning, who have been sitting watching softball for again umpteen hours, just need food. Also, you need people watching. At Cookout, you get both.
All right.
You
all right.
get decent food, and you get some
I'm not saying-
wonderful people watching.
This sounds like the
And-
Applebee's.
and I'll tell you right now,
If it's 3 a.m., I mean, people watching would be fine. I don't need the people watching. I just need the food.
Exactly, which is fine too. You get that. You get it
But
real
I don't
quick,
need. I don't need to go
and
to.
especially if you go inside.
I don't need to go check off every state in the union to
Uh,
go make this a thing. Like,
Oxford,
if the food's not good, I don't need to
Oxford,
go to all of them.
Tuscaloosa, Auburn, Harrisonburg, Virginia, Knoxville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Athens, Georgia. What am I missing?
You're just listing off states that you're listing off cities that don't have good food options. So that's why you go to Cookout.
Atlanta? I had some pretty good food in Atlanta. This was the last meal I had because I had to have it.
You know, Applebee's and TGI
Atlanta's not
Fridays
a
and
good
all
Chili's.
those places have a bunch of things
Actually-
on their menu too, but none of it's any
low
good.
key-
Actually, yeah, at Applebee's you can get a hamburger and a quesadilla.
That's
what
true.
I'm
That's more than
You can get a
$7.50,
hamburger
but-
and a quesadilla.
Actually,
That's
yeah,
the thing, yes.
a
You
quesadilla
didn't
burger
sell me.
is
The
pretty
quesadilla
good.
burger, I used to have that. This was the only thing I used to eat from Applebee's, which is terrible. Which again says a lot about Applebee's.
You didn't sell me.
Jeff, is there a chain though that isn't local that if you're out of town you will try to visit? Because I
Yeah.
have one.
Oh, I want to hear yours because I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, Ollie's Trolley is my retirement plan for New Orleans. I'm going to
What?
bring Ollie's Trolley to
What is
Never even
Ollie's?
heard of
What
that.
is that?
Who's
Educate
Ollie?
yourselves, young Jedis. Ollie's
You're a
Trolley.
Jedi.
There's one in one in Louisville. There's one in Cincinnati, and there's one in Washington D.C. They're the only 3 left in the country. It was a popular fast food restaurant back in probably the 80s. There's one near the University of Louisville campus that I lived on, subsisted on. They make ollie burgers. They have these fries with all this spice on it. And if I can get one in the French Quarter, I might retire rich.
Can you get a quesadilla?
Can you get a quesadilla and chicken
No.
nuggets? Can you double them on fries? Straight
Strictly
double burger?
burgers and fries. There's no overhead. You have to go into this little trolley car, order your, and you take out. There's no sit down, anything.
All right,
So
I
no
want
overhead.
to hear. I want to hear.
Well, yeah, we're on the same wavelength. It's all about good burgers and fries. Shake Shack is mine.
That's
Oh,
good.
Shake
That's a good
Shack's
call.
excellent.
That's a
I'm
very
all
good
about
call.
Shake Shack.
That's a
Love
very good
Shake
call.
Shack.
Who does not like?
See, I was expecting you to say Culver's because I figured because Culver's is
Okay,
the
well,
Midwest.
all right. I love Culver's.
Yeah,
Culver's is the best.
Yeah.
Very upset that I no longer have access to Culver's.
That's
But
I believe
Culver's,
that.
Culver's was a part of my life growing up in Minnesota, driving through Wisconsin all the time, and then there was one right next to me where I lived in Detroit too. So, I mean, I do miss Culver's, but Shake Shack has
Yeah.
always been.
I respect it. I respect that.
I mean, that's always been a destination for me because I didn't have it. Of course, they opened one in Minneapolis after I moved away. They opened one in Detroit after I moved away, and they don't have one here yet. But I mean,
Why don't we have one here?
if I'm on, I don't know. If I'm on the road though, and I'm at a place where there's a Shake Shack
Yeah.
or at an airport, I mean, it's normally a go-to move for me.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
I
Yeah.
agree with you on that. Not sold on Cookout,
Yeah,
but I'm
Cookout
keeping an
can-
open mind. But it's
Oh yeah, keep it open mind. But I mean, again, it's clearly it's a staple of some areas in the South. I would knock it till you try it. Trust me, you will find yourself likely at some point.
I'd rather just eat Popeyes. I feel like there's no way
You-
Cookout
but
can
if
be
you
better than
can't,
Popeyes.
but if you can't get if you can't get Popeyes at 2:30 in the morning, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to McDonald's?
Wait, I would wait until
You're
11
crazy.
a.m.
You're
I'd go to
crazy.
a gas
You're
station and get a
crazy.
sandwich at a
Y'all are
gas station.
crazy.
All right, now that's a crazy one.
That's
Okay.
yeah. That's what you're gonna go do.
Go
Some
get-
ding dong, some hoo-has.
Six-day-old
I
tuna
was
you
gonna
salad.
just find a shawarma or something like
Shawarma
that.
again. If it's 3:00 in the morning, you're either going to a 24-hour McDonald's, 24-hour Burger King, and you got Cookout right there. It's open till 4.
I
You
think-
get shakes
I
and
think-
random stuff.
Jeff makes a terrible point, but there is some
'Cause
truth
Jeff
in
is-
there.
'cause Jeff
but there
makes
is some
terrible
truth in there.
points.
We do need more late-night shawarma options in New Orleans.
That's also not. That's a good
All
point.
right,
That's a very
guys.
good point.
All right. Let's go to Steve in Mandeville to kind of end this craziness.
I hope
This
not.
Cookout
I hope he's
crazy.
talking about Cookout. Please tell me you call about Cookout.
Steve, what's up? I don't
Sad
blame
for you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for the call. And I think Tom Savage, just by virtue of his experience, is going to be the backup. But I do think it's going to be a competition to some degree.
Yeah, so at practice yesterday, Tom Savage and Taysom Hill both switched off with the second and third team offenses. And I thought Taysom looked better. But, I mean, it was obviously limited, opportunities for both of them. There was one really good play where Taysom, was able to use his athleticism to break away from the pocket and make a play downfield with his legs. That's obviously something an advantage that he has over Tom Savage. And that was one thing that Peyton was talking about, that athleticism, definitely in practice gives the defense a different look. So, I mean, I think Taysom Hill is a more talented player than Tom Savage, but as Jeff said, that experience is definitely going to help Tom Savage in this competition. And the one thing that is important to remember, the fact that Taysom Hill is still running with the special teams units, that shows that he's not a lock to make the 53-man roster. I mean, if he has to make the team by virtue of special teams, then that doesn't mean that the Saints are married to him being the long-term replacement for Drew Brees. I mean, there's certainly a chance that, once training camp gets going and if Taysom Hill's playing really well under center, that they'll take him off special teams. But for now, I don't think anyone should, pencil him in.
Here's one bold prediction I will make. Whoever is the next Saints quarterback, the heir to Drew Brees, I think is going to be a mobile, athletic quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a runner per se, but he's going to have.
I mean, he's not going to be Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he's not gonna, exactly. He's not going to be maybe Lamar Jackson, but Sean Payton seems to be enamored with these kind of athletic runners. He
Mahomes.
Yeah, he singled out Taysom Hill, the play he made with his legs, and he talked about how it stresses the defense. I think he knows that that's the way football's going, and I think he kind of would like to see more of that at the quarterback position in the future.
I think everyone talks about how guys in the NFL these days are bigger, stronger, faster. At the quarterback position, you can't ignore that. I mean, you look at some of these guys that are coming out, Baker Mayfield goes number 1. I mean, he's mobile. I mean, he's sort of like that Russell Wilson mold, where he might be shorter, but he can make up for that, with his speed and ability to make plays outside the pocket. I think, just the way that the league is going, if you don't have one of these top tier pocket passers like a Drew Brees or Tom Brady, and those guys are becoming fewer and far between as the year goes on, then you need someone who has that dual threat ability. I mean, look, they signed J.T. Barrett.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think they're getting ready. You're absolutely right. They're getting ready to sort of find someone who breaks the mold and isn't quite like a Drew Brees.
All right, one break left before we get to the top of the hour, and we will continue this discussion on the New Orleans Saints and Taysom Hill, who's a very intriguing prospect in the Saints quarterback room. You're listening to Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Stay with us. Wall Street Journal is hiring a reporter just to cover Google.
Wait, what?
Wall Street Journal, they have a Google beat writer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Probably smart.
Yeah.
I know. Be a pretty cool gig. Although I think they're kind of hard to deal with, from what I understand. And Catherine weighed in about how great Cookout is.
Yeah, because she knows too, bro.
I'm down
She
both of
knows
y'all.
too, bro.
I'm down both of y'all.
Yeah,
I
you
do
got
not
down.
trust Catherine's food opinions.
I don't trust her food opinions anyway. Oh, I can't wait till y'all have Skyline chili. It's gonna be great.
I'm not going to go to Skyline while I'm there.
Where?
Skyline.
I love Skyline. I love it.
Skyline chili?
Yeah.
Chili doesn't belong on pasta.
Also fair.
Well,
Although my mom did make like
I love
like chili pasta, like chili spaghetti. It's weird, but I loved it.
No, my mom a few times made Cincinnati chili, and I was just like, why are we out of red sauce? Like,
Red sauce. Are we out of marinara? What's going on here?
We'll see how long that takes.
Oh my god. Oh god. I can't wait. Oh, her phone just blew up and she's like, son of bitches. There you go. 10
What was
seconds.
that, 5 seconds?
10 seconds.
That was less than 5 seconds.
So. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Welcome back. We have ignited a brush fire of controversy.
There's no
on
way
Twitter.
you did. We didn't do
This
this.
is all Clyde's fault for claiming that Cookout is amazing, and then
I didn't
describing
claim
it
it
as
was-
decent. he's like, oh my god, it's the best thing in the world.
It is.
Well, how's the food?
It's decent, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't sell it.
McDonald's is decent.
I-
I can get McDonald's at any time.
I don't think we're
I
getting
can
that
get chicken
endorsement.
nuggets and
But
hamburger
you
at McDonald's.
cannot get, but you can't get it here.
McDonald's are all over the
you
place.
can't get McDonald's here, but you can't get Cookout here.
You're not getting a sponsorship out of that.
I guarantee you. Give me some time. Your boy is going to be making money.
All right, final segment here, Duncan Holder. We got a few minutes to wrap up, but I want to get Josh's final thoughts. So what's left in this offseason for the Saints? I mean, what do you think would be the main goals of this team? Just getting the playbook installed for these young guys, because they got so many veteran guys that they know what's going on. It's this young crew of cats that they might be counting on this year, and the newcomers like Kirk Coleman and those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kirk Coleman actually fit right in with the starters yesterday. He was ahead of Von Bell. I mean, obviously they had a lot of plays with 3 safeties out there, but Kirk Coleman, it seems like the Saints are really leaning on him, to be a starter this season. But yeah, I mean, I think the goal is obviously to get everyone up to speed. And Drew Brees actually made a good point. He was talking. I asked him about just his recovery and what he does in the off season, and he said it's all about the fundamentals. And it's crazy to think about someone who has as much experience as Drew Brees does, just spending his off season working on the fundamentals. But I think that is the focus for all these guys. If they can just be, if everyone on the team can just be slightly better than they were last year, and obviously that's not going to happen. But
Right.
if the majority of these guys, particularly the rookies from last season, whether it's Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, Marcus Williams, if all these guys can just be slightly better than they were a year ago, and most of that's going to happen from understanding the playbook better and doing the fundamentals, then that should mean that the team will match its success or do better than last year. So I think the main focus, like you said, getting the rookies up to speed, but then everyone else on the team just doing everything they can to just improve slightly, whether that's being stronger, faster, smarter, whatever the case may be.
One final question for you, Josh. Are you surprised that Kenny Vaccaro and Delvin Breaux are both unsigned right now?
A little bit. I think both of them probably have injury concerns. I think that's a big part of it. And oddly enough, I reached out to a scout. Apparently, teams are just not in the market for safeties right now. I know Eric Reed's obviously going through this collusion lawsuit and everything, but it's not just Eric Reed that's unsigned. It's Kenny Vaccaro, it's Trey Boston, and there are a lot of experienced safeties out there.
Why is that, you think?
I think a lot of teams are finding different ways to fill that role. I mean, there are a lot of cornerbacks converting to safety. There are a lot of linebackers converting. I mean, look at a guy like Shaq Thompson in Carolina. I mean, they drafted him knowing that he could play a hybrid position. So, whether it's linebackers going to safety, cornerbacks going to safety, safeties going to cornerback or linebacker, it's just not a position that there's a lot of need for right now. So I think Vaccaro, in Vaccaro's case, the market has hurt him, but at the same time, he's got to be dealing with some injuries. I mean, he had surgery on his groin last year. Look at A.J. Klein, pretty much had the exact same injury last season, and at the same time, and Klein is not back on the field yet. He was, just standing around watching practice yesterday. So clearly Vaccaro, I think, is still dealing with the injury, and that's why he's still out there. Breaux, obviously, 2 broken legs the past 2 years, so I think, similar deal with him.
All right, Josh. Thanks for sitting
Thanks
in
for
for
coming in,
Larry
Brad.
today.
This is great.
Clyde, as always, we're going to go eat a little lunch here if we can
Yeah.
brave this weather. And we will have Larry Holder back in the studio on Monday. Well, actually, no, we will not have a show on Monday. We'll have an all-star.
Best of.
Best of show. And we'll be back in here on Tuesday. So make sure you join us then. If you missed the show today, you can always catch it on the iHeartRadio you can catch the podcast on iHeartRadio.com. And I want to thank Brody Miller for visiting with us, telling us a little about LSU. All right, that's Duncan Holder, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Have a great weekend.